morning, beloved ones. How is everyone today? Well, good, dynamic. You alive, alert, awake, and enthusiastic? All right, that's the way I like. I like to feel that divine energy, because when I stand up here, I have prepared myself. You know, from the night before and the morning of up until this morning, where I allow the Spirit to touch me and move me so that I can do what is mine to do. And I can bring you whatever it is that the Spirit wants to bring so that we can all hear it and receive it. And I'm in the mix too, because sometimes I get to hear, woo, look at that, look what Spirit said. So I appreciate when we are present. I'm thankful for you. I'm thankful for you because you are here today, you are present, and you are open and receptive. There's a statement, an affirmation that says, I am open and receptive to the living Spirit of truth. That's a standard New Thought affirmation. I am open and receptive to the living Spirit of truth. Is that where you are? All right, let me hear you. I am open and receptive to the living Spirit of truth. And when we become open and receptive, that means then the divine flow begins to happen. And it moves in and through us, because we are always in process and in flow. These last few weeks have been sort of a whirlwind for me. I was holding in consciousness thoughts of order, success, lots of details. I had nuts and bolts going on, had a little bit of nervousness, as well as times of great faith, and then complete surrender when it came to this event that we engage with, standing up for humanity. And I was wondering, thank you, but you know, I was wondering, how will it work? Will it be a success? And all the moving parts, getting everybody into place, and it worked. It was wonderful. It was beautiful. And thanks largely in part to the organization that the planning team put in place so that things could unfold in divine order, so that things could go smoothly. But you know, you always, when you're working on something, you want it to be well, and you want everybody to receive it in a high fashion. And so all of this energy was swirling around in my head. And then the day came, and it was wonderful, and you know, things unfolded even greater than my expectations. And at the culmination, I had joy, and there was release, and there was gratitude that replaced the nervousness and the surrender and the concern. All that was replaced with joy and gratitude. And then we celebrated on Sunday, the very next day after the event. We came to church and we continued the celebration. And I received a lovely award from Ambassador Musi, you know, about the Golden Root Ambassador. I got to be an ambassador now. And Reverend Michael Beckworth came and he worshiped with us, and so he was in us, and it felt really good, and it was a wonderful Sunday. And then right after church, I had to fly out. Reverend Paulette and I serve on the board of Unity Worldwide Ministries. She's the keeper of the flame, and I am a board member. And we were to have a week-long board meeting at the village, at Unity Village. And so the night before, I had already packed my luggage on Friday and Saturday so I could be ready for Sunday to leave out. And so we fly there, and when I get there, I'm on a high, because I know they're going to ask me, how did it go? And I wanted to say it was wonderful. So I was really feeling good. But when we got there, we were met with a great challenge. We were met with a challenge as both the CFO and the CEO for Unity Worldwide Ministries had resigned within weeks of one another. And all of a sudden, the board was tasked with putting things in order until order could be established with the hiring of these two key positions. And while we had a previous agenda of what our week was going to look like, all of a sudden it was thrown into what? To chaos. And we only had a week to get things in place, to get things in order. And so there was a lot of stress and tension, and we were moving, and who's going to do what and where and when, and the staff, how's going to talk to the staff, and just all of this intense energy to get it done because we were only there for a week. And we did. We got it done. And it will continue to unfold in perfect and divine order. But it was stressful because we weren't anticipating. See, sometimes when you don't anticipate change, it can bring a little distress on occasion. But we handled it, right? So that took place I left there Sunday, I got back on a Friday evening. And so I was looking forward, and thank God it's so good, because I had already had the opportunity to invite Reverend James Trapp to speak. So I was so glad that I didn't have to come home Saturday and prepare a message, right? And so I said, oh, good, thank God. You know, Reverend Trapp will be here, and I had the blessed good fortune of being able to sit in the pews. See, I miss going to church sometimes. I do. I miss sitting down and hearing a wonderful message and hearing the reminder. Now, I get reminded when I'm working on the talks. It comes. But there's something healing about sitting in the pews and listening and being, in communion and being connected. So I miss going to church. Because I went to church when when I was in my party days. I would hang out and do all that stuff. I might hang out on Saturday night. But I dragged myself to hear Eric Butterworth on Sunday morning, because I knew that it was what? It was going to feed me. It was going to nourish my soul. It was going to remind me of who I am and equip me to handle the week. So I loved it. It gave me something new to chew on. So I was so delighted that Reverend Trapp was here and that I could sit and listen to his message on having some blissipins. Who you all remember the blissipins? You see, the blissipins are like disciplines, but the blissipins are about having those spiritual principles and understanding spiritual laws that you could use and put into practice so that you can experience more bliss in your life. And that the more you put the principles into practice on a consistent basis, like a blissipin, that your life would begin to order itself out, and you would be blessed in the process. And so I was just excited about these newfound blissipins that I was going to be working with on a regular basis. And so after hearing them, I took a deep breath, and that was Sunday. I was like, okay, I'm ready to begin the week, because I was feeling lifted up. I was feeling encouraged, only to find that I was met with some new challenges. New challenges that automatically, suddenly plummeted me back down into a state of, Lord, what in the world is going on? Back into a place where I found myself in tears as I'm driving my car. I said, oh, goodness, I found myself just feeling a sense of upheaval and wanting to just share and talk. And I said, because I can't share and talk with everybody, And all of my go-tos were not there. And I'm like, I need a new go-to. We have a joke amongst my friends. We say, somebody who's going to get you off the ledge. So I called a friend and I said, I'm on the ledge. And I just need to hear, because see, certain people are going to try to fix you. I didn't need to be fixed. But I did need to have somebody who understands my language, who understands where I am, who could just remind me of the truth that I already know. And so, of course, this friend was not there. And it was okay, because sometimes when I'm looking for that outer support and it's not there, it reminds me of I have to do what? I got to go within. And sometimes I say, Lord, I'm always here for other people. Who is here for me? And you know what I heard? I am. I am. And so I just made peace with, you know what, let me get still. Let me see what the Lord is trying to bring to me and say to me. And so I said, yes, it feels like, sometimes life feels like it's chaotic, or that there's crises that we have, and that crises and chaos is reigning in our life and affairs. And we've all had that moment in time. Don't you have those experiences? And those times, everybody does. And it feels like your life is on a roller coaster ride. You got ups and downs, great highs. Oh, celebrating. Oh, no. We have all these ups and downs and these ins and outs, highs and lows, and sadness and distress, and yet great joy and exultation. All of this is taking place. And while I was in the midst of this and experiencing it all of a sudden I had an epiphany. Imagine that, I had an epiphany. And an epiphany is when the sudden realization comes into your mind and into your being. And all of a sudden, I had this epiphany that I was actually in the midst of great transformation. That somehow, that this was a time of great seeing. Because I began to see some things. Right? That sometimes only crisis and chaos can help you see. And so I thought, this is a great time of seeing, great seeing. And that order was being called forth in the very midst of chaos. And that immediacy of clear action was being called forth in the midst of crises. Did you get that? Yes. Because you see, there's actually great power in chaos and crises. Because chaos clearly points out what it is that needs to be put in order. Right? It points it out, what needs to be in order. Because when you have a mess, it becomes clear what needs to be cleaned up. Right? When you go, when I go into my bedroom and I see that it's a mess, I know exactly, by seeing the mess, I know exactly what needs to be cleaned up. So I got to hang up the clothes. I got to put this away and bring order to it. I can see the order that must come out of the chaos. That's powerful, and that's a blessing. And when you're in the midst of crises, you can see what needs to be done, and you see it in pinpoint focus and clarity. Because usually when you're in crises and action is called for, it's not the kind of action where you're going to sit and do a whole bunch of thinking. I wonder if it's crises. Act, move, right? If you see something happening, child's running into the street, you don't think, should I stop? I wonder if I should go and grab that child. You move. There's an immediacy. When you're in crises, the immediacy of action becomes clearer. You know what you're supposed to do. You act. You move. You think. You know what is to be done. Chaos and crises are really blessings in disguise. They are blessings in disguise if you read the signs that they are pointing to. That's key. You got to be able to read the signs to what is being asked for in this moment. The word crises, and we know this, but this is a Western interpretation because I was doing some research on the Chinese symbol for crises. And sometimes we think it's a yin and a yang, and we have used it in this fashion, but it's a Western thought. But the statement is that from the Western perspective, an interpretation of the Chinese word for crises is that the Chinese word is made up of two characters, signifying one signifies danger and the other signifies opportunity. There's danger and there's opportunity, and those two yield crises. Albert Einstein said this. He said, in the midst of every crisis lies great opportunity. In the midst of every crisis lies great opportunity. And I had a longer quote, but I had it on my phone, and I realized I left my phone in my office, so there you go. It's not a crisis. But I love it. He says that in the midst of every crisis lies great opportunity. Meaning there's always room for something else to come forth, something else to be born in this moment. And whether you see something as a danger or whether you see it as an opportunity is related to how you see the situation or how you interpret the situation. It's either something to be feared or something to be embraced. If it's danger, right? If you are in crisis and what you are experiencing is great fear, then it's probably due to your thinking the worst of what can happen. You're in crisis and you're thinking the worst of what can happen, and it feels like danger. Your perceptions then, when you feel that this is danger taking place, then your perceptions are going to have you somehow holding back, or they will fill you with cautiousness and resistance and doubt. Danger, danger. And so but yet at the very same time, when you're in crisis, if you can somehow see it as an opportunity for change, an opportunity for growth, an opportunity for the possibility of deep, wonderful transformation, if you see it that way and embrace that, then you're going to be more willing to proceed and to venture forward with this open-mindedness of, wow, this is a new opportunity here. There's a gentleman who did some deeper research on what the symbol of crises means in the Chinese wording and characters, and he says that it actually is a crisis is a crucial point when something begins or changes. It's a crucial point, that intersecting point of when something begins and changes. And he says, in fact, so this is actually the closer meaning to crises, that it is a crucial point when something begins or changes. So a crisis is a calling for change. You know, we make it like, oh my God, the world is coming apart, it's falling. It is a call for change. Change in that moment. And if we can be conscious in the moment, in the midst of the crises, if we can be conscious when we're in that place, then we can begin to harness the power of the crises, the power of change, the power of the opportunity that's presenting itself for something different, the opportunity to do differently, to be differently, to have something different, to have this creation of a new creation, a new path, a new thought, a new expression. We can harness that and move with that. And the same is true, likewise, when things feel like they are out of hand, or confusion is reigning and chaos reigns in your life. The same thing, that chaos is simply a signal that order is demanding its rightful place in your life and affairs. Order is demanding its rightful place in your life and affairs. Metaphysically, we like to say that order is the first law of the universe. Because if there were no order in the universe, there would be chaos, and planets would be banging into each other, and stars would be exploding, and we would be burnt out, all of that. It is the first for life to take place. And this is what Albert Einstein said. I don't have it here in the quote, but the essence was, he was saying that out of this chaos and crises, there is within it order that allows things to grow and unfold and change, but yet at the very same time to do it in a way that life is moving and progressing onward, upward. And so order is always demanding its rightful place in our lives and in our affairs, because everything in the universe moves towards order. including our situations, our circumstances, even those things that are a mess. The mess is moving towards order. Because nothing can stay stagnant. Nothing stays a mess forever. It will fall apart so that it can reorder itself. And sometimes when we see the falling apart, we think, oh my goodness, it's an ending. No, 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 no. It's that crucial point, right, where things begin, where a beginning and a change is happening. So it's falling apart so that it can reorder itself. So if things look messy in your life, I want you to stop and take note of what it is that needs to be put in order. Society is reordering itself right now. Don't get hung up that it looks quite messy, because order will be established out of the mess, out of the chaos. And the message that is being given to all of us is to put your house in order. Put your house in order, right? And I think the message for me, as I said, when you have crises, great insights come. And I was like, you know what? Wow. I need to literally and figuratively put my house in order. My personal house, my whole personal house, because I've got stuff in there that is just not needed. I got college books and all kinds. Now, you know it's been a while since I've been in college. I got stuff I don't need. When I moved into that house, it was totally empty. And now it is totally filled with stuff. And so I kept saying, and I'm looking at it, I got to put this house in order. And when I went to Unity and I said, oh, what is happening here? Well, I'm on that board because we have to put that spiritual house in order. We're talking about integrating Unity Worldwide headquarters and Unity Worldwide ministries, but it has to be put in order. So things are falling apart so that it can be reordered. It's time that there are certain things here in this house of God, that has to be put in order. I've got the message. Sometimes the universe has to smack you upside the head. I got the message. I had the epiphany that I've got to put my life and my affairs, in order. Your house is your consciousness. We know that spiritually, right? As metaphysicians, your house is your consciousness. And when our house is out of order, then all of a sudden it means that there is some aspect of our consciousness that is out of order. Some aspects of how we are thinking and feeling and perceiving, our values, our attitudes, something is out of alignment and something is out of order. It's not in alignment with the higher truth. And so chaos shows you that. Crisis shows you that something inwardly has to be put in order. And maybe it's because we've been asleep. Or maybe we have neglected maintaining the quality of our consciousness because we're so busy doing life, so busy moving and manipulating the things in the outer that we forget to take care of the things of the inner. As within, so without. And so we need to look at what's taking place within, and maybe we get so busy in the outer that we forget that we have left our minds unattended. And your mind needs to be attended. The thoughts and the qualities that run through this thing here, you need to look at it and see it. Is what I'm thinking and producing, is it what I want? Do I need to be? Because sometimes when you don't attend to your house and your consciousness, things build up. When you have an accumulation of limited thoughts that you've allowed to take up residence in your consciousness, dust and debris and mental clutter and mental stuff builds up. It builds up in your consciousness. And all of a sudden, you find yourself feeling down emotionally and mentally and maybe even spiritually and psychologically. Wow, because the house is out of order. You are the guardian of your mind, and you are the housekeeper of your consciousness. You get to decide what you want to keep and what you want to discard. Now, when you're the housekeeper, and you go about setting with the intention of cleaning out your house, you have to know this, that when you're decluttering or cleaning, you're going to run into those moments where you see something and all of a sudden you want to keep it. You ain't used it in 10 years. Or maybe it doesn't even fit you anymore. You're not getting back down to a size 4 and a size 6. I might shoot for a 10 or a 12. But those days of 4 and 6 are gone. But I want to hold on to it because I like it. I haven't worn it in 10 years, but I like it. And we have thoughts and feelings that no longer serve us well. And they haven't served us well for a mighty long time, but yet we're clinging to them and holding on. You've got to let it go. Because all it does is it builds mental clutter, junk in your mind, waste thoughts and wasted energy that will begin to overrun your mind if you don't clear it out, clean it up. It's time to clean house. Turn to somebody and tell them, put your house in order. Put your house in order. Now, there's some keys that you might want to pick up when you're trying to put your house in order. And first, what you want to do is you want to recognize that your house is in disarray. Right? You got to recognize that something's out of whack, something's out of order. Because sometimes you have been living with your mess for so long that the mess feels normal. Right? That you don't even notice it anymore, that there's clutter over there. You just, oh, everything's fine. Because we've been living with it so long, it's now normal. So you've got to begin to recognize, first and foremost, that something is awry and that you might be too comfortable with your mess. I remember when I was young, and my mom might remember this, and we had our chores and stuff to do on Saturdays or whatever, and she would come in, and I used to have everything on my bed, books, clothes, paper. That's where, and to this day, I still have it. My bed is like my sanctuary. I'm reading in the bed, so the books go there. I can't have just one book because I'm reading 2, 3, 4, 5 books at a time, so they're all on there, right? Or I got some mail. I want to go through the mail. I'll put it on the bed. So I got all this stuff. But she used to say, clean up your room. I don't know if she'll remember this, but I used to tell her, I like it like this. I feel comfortable with all this stuff around me. And she would say, it looks like Collier's mansion. And I never knew what Collier's mansion was, but then he was apparently a man who used to had a mansion, and he had a whole bunch of stuff in it. Yeah, I got comfortable with my mess. So you have to recognize, wait a minute, what is taking place? You got to survey your life and affairs and begin to see what is working and what is not working. And be willing to see what is not working so that you can recognize that things need to be placed in order. And when you begin to look at your life, I want you to look at everything, your career, your religious act, your relationships, and all the different areas of your life. Begin to look and notice what is out of order here. Is it working for you? What's not working? And as you begin to start to look and see what's working or not working, don't get bogged down in the enormity of it all, because all of a sudden you'll start to say, oh gosh, this is too much. When you're trying to go clean up a room, when I look at some of the things that I've accumulated in my garage and in my basement and whatever, that, oh God, it's too much. And what happens when I look at the enormity of it? What do? I just go, I'm gonna get to that later. Right? So when you begin to look and see what's not working, don't get bogged down with the enormity of it, and don't worry about that. Because remember, the power of chaos and crisis is that they show you what needs to be put in order and what needs to be done in the midst of the crises. And they're going to bring you great insights and pinpoint clarity and opportunities for change. So don't worry about that. But what you want to do is you want to bring, when you're beginning to put your house, and recognize that you need to put your house in order, you want to bring a sense of not, oh my God, overbearing, but excitement. You want to bring the explanation of, you know what, I have a wonderful opportunity. For what opportunity? This is an opportunity for transformation. This is an opportunity for me to make great impact on my life. This is not necessarily the crisis that I'm thinking it is and the chaos, but this is an opportunity to change and to grow. And I want to seize the moment of this opportunity. I'm going to embrace it. That's the mindset you want to approach it with, because you want to meet any feelings of danger, because it's danger or opportunity, right? And so you want to meet any feelings that come up of danger or despair or doubt or dismay at the task ahead, because it's a task, right, to put your house in order. But don't get dismayed of the task ahead, but meet it with some faith. Have faith in God. In fact, the most that you want to do is to begin to realize that you don't have to work alone. You don't have to tackle your life just by yourself, that you can also do it with the presence and power of God. You can call upon the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit is the work agent. That's the workhorse of God. The Holy Spirit puts stuff into movement and action. And if you want to move, call upon it. Move me. Move this thing, because it'll move stuff in and it'll move stuff out. I've done it. You can move people in and you can move people out. You're not praying for their any kind of harm or anything of that, but when you ask the Holy Spirit to release that which does not need to be in your life, it will be gone. Whew. But so I always say, be careful what you're asking and how you're invoking it, but use it. Right? Use it. So that, because here's the key, the universe is always conspiring for your good. The universe is always inspiring to bring me to that place of perfect order, to bring me to that place, that crucial point of transformation where change begins, and I begin to bring this new essence, this new desire, this new whatever it's being called for into manifestation. The universe is working on my behalf. So when we're cleaning our consciousness and you're working on getting your house in order, you want to allow certain thoughts into your mind. One of them you can say is that the universe is conspiring for my good. Let me hear you affirm that. The universe is conspiring for my good. Let me hear you say, God is on my side. I have all the resources to meet my tasks. The Holy Spirit is now moving me on my perfect path. My purpose is clear. This is the perfect time to put my house in order. I know what to do, and I do it. And I do it. Yeah. And don't worry about where you're going to start, because when you go into that garage and you start looking at all, don't worry about where to start, just start. It doesn't matter, just start. Just pick something up. So this morning, what I got as I was working and reviewing this, Spirit said, every day you ought to discard at least one thing. Every day. So this morning when I went in the bathroom, I saw, you know how you go to the hotel and you get all those little bottles of lotion and stuff? I must have had 50 of them in there. Meanwhile, I got my good stuff that I use. I don't use this stuff. I stopped my mess. I went right into my garage, got a little box, and I just put all those little things. I'm going to give them to the homeless shelter or whatever. But it doesn't have to be, I don't have to start with the whole thing. But if I make a commitment to every day discarding one thing and more, because my mother said that's going to take you a lifetime to do. So I said, I could do more if I want to, but I'm going to at least do one thing, right? Just start. Doesn't matter when. Just put something every single day, because life is constantly bringing us new things, right? That's the way life works. So if we keep taking in and we never discard and put out, you have congestion, spiritual congestion, metaphysical confusion. We've got to keep, there's a flow, there's order and a flow to life. Flowing it in and out. And when, let's say when a water comes in, if you have an inlet and there's no flow for the outlet, what happens to that water? Stagnates, it dies. In, out. Keep the flow. So I've made a commitment. And will you make a commitment to do that? Yes. One thing, just one thing in your life. The universe is conspiring for our good. And everything is moving towards order. And the moment you move, the entire universe moves with you and for you. And so if you have chaos and crisis, they're merely a signal for change. They're blessings in disguise. It's pointing to transformation that is desiring to take place in your life and affairs. Your task, should you accept it, is to get moving. Just move. Put your house in order. Blessings. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. Namaste.